back, friends. My name is Miss Maureen and I'm a librarian at Hardesty Regional Library. This is our second video in our series, Houses and Homes for Fairies and Gnomes. My partner in fairy home construction will be joining us later in the video with additional ideas for making our fairy houses look awesome. Previously, we looked around the house to find everyday items that we could use to make our fairy and sprite gnome homes. With our safety measures in mind, we're going to go ahead and we're wearing our I Can Get Dirty clothes. We're going to go ahead and start right away on home construction. So our first option is paint. Paint is a great way to decorate your house, as it's quick to apply. You can see the changes to your house almost immediately, and you literally have a rainbow of colors to choose from. The three houses I created all take paint differently. So bear in mind when you're choosing your item to become a house that various materials, wood, plastic, cardboard, they all take paint differently, and one might not take paint at all. If you wish to use a pastel paint when you're applying, such as my purple house here, you may need to add a couple of extra coats to get the look you want. If you use a darker color like a blue, one coat may be enough, and I'll show you that right now. So I've got a nice dark blue, and we're going to apply it right here. And as you can see, that blue is pretty vibrant. I might not even need to go ahead and add a lot more color to it. Your paint may go ahead and dry a little lighter than when it starts on, but that's okay. Now, before you finish up and paint your entire house, you may wish to go ahead and add a template for a door or a window. Now, I have a horrible time freehand drawing, so I like to use things that make it easier for me. Like, for instance, my little library fob makes a great door shape, and I can go ahead and draw out my door. Then I'll know where not to paint and where I'll cut my door out. My outside of my pasta box, however, that I made into my different condo, needed to be prepped before I could paint it. So it has a film and it's already a dark color. So what I'm going to do for this one is cut down the side of the pasta box. And you see I've already started it. So I'm cutting here and I'm flipping it over so that I can go ahead and use it like this. So I'm going to tape it up, and I'm going to use a pretty strong tape. Got my duct tape right here, and I'll put it on my sides so that it's easier to go ahead and now I have a much easier box, and even bonus, I have a window. So I can paint this whatever color I like. I can add my blue again, and my fairies have another option for another house. I also want to talk to you about two ways to add paint that is a little more in depth. And for that, I'm going to go ahead and use tape on my houses. With that, you can create designs with your tape. You do have to plan ahead using tape, and then you can get creative with the colors you choose. That looks like this. Very uniform. More uniform than if I had to freehand it, trust me. So you could do that and have a pattern. And with the stripes, same thing. You have this way, you can be much more creative with simple additions of design tape. Our final paint technique that I really am excited to show you is called splatter paint. And this one is messy. This is an example of just using blue splatter paint on a basic piece of white paper. So you will go ahead and put your paper down, or your flower pot, or your item that you're going to paint. If you wanted to, you could go ahead and put things there, and where you put them, there's no paint. You will go ahead and choose your color, and you will get messy. Your fingertips will get messy. I'm going to go ahead and flick the paint, and this is splatter intentional, and there it goes. This is you splattering all over your paint to make a cool design and getting your finger dirty. I'm taking away my button. I have a window. Taking away my handy dandy library card. And I have a door. If you want to make a super quick fairy house, I have a paper towel roll that I've cut down to the size of a sheet of paper. This will dry. We're going to roll it. Actually, it's even too short. So I've got another paper towel roll. Perfect size. And what about a roof for my tower? That's easy peasy. I'm going to take my blue roof. I'm going to take a circle. And a neat trick that you can do to make an easy peasy fairy house roof is after you've cut your circle out, right here, you're going to fold it in half and cut it. And then you're going to make the edges meet and tape it. And now we have a splatter paint fairy tower that can go with my fairy condo. And you have a couple of different ideas to work with your own fairy homes at home. I'm going to turn it over to Miss Julia now. Remember, we'd love you to participate in our summer reading program. So stay safe and see you soon.
Hello again. So I've done a little bit more work on my houses. I just got finished painting these, so these are still a little bit wet, but they're starting to look like mushrooms. I have utilized some other found objects to make this actually look like a gnome. Instead of just a top hat, he's actually a full-blown gnome, and I'm going to cut a little door right here for his mouth. And all I've done to the milk jug one is cut the bottom off and kind of traced where I want to put a door. Still haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do that one yet. What we have seen so far is the 3 different kinds of planters, and I actually had a 4th different kind. That's what I used for this particular top of the mushroom house. For this one, this is actually just a little takeout to go plastic container, and this one I used a cup of fruit, and I just turned that upside down. So that's how I got my 3 mushroom shapes. And how I got my little gnome eyes here is I happen to have a milk carton like that. When I cut it in half, I noticed it looked like eyes. And that looks like a gnome. So I'm excited to do that. For the milk jug, like I said, I just cut the bottom off and I'm tracing the door. And I'm gonna go ahead and use some scissors. And I'm going to cut the doorway that I traced, or the basic shape, because I can't apparently do that very well. And now I have a little door. So that's the progress I've made so far. How far along are you?
I worked on these houses over several days, so here's a time lapse of my progress through the first and second day.
You know, really, I should have painted the tops first. Listens.
Stay tuned for tips on how to make a gnome beard out of yarn.
Okay, it's the next day and I've done a little bit more work on the houses. For this, I have decided to tape them together so they're like one unit. I'm gonna glue the pop tabs across here so it looks like a little fence. So I did end up grabbing a bunch of yarn, cutting them into about 6 inches or so, creating this kind of spiral pattern so it will look like his beard, and in the back we're gonna have strings of yarn to look like his hair. So to get that spiral shape, again, I just have about 6 inches worth of yarn. First I wrapped it around 2 fingers about twice, then I wrapped the rest of it around top part of my middle finger, scooch it off, and I have about the right pattern that I want for his beard. I'm also using Elmer's glue for this. So I do a little bit of a circle of glue and then I put the spiral right on top of it. And there you go. That's his beard started.
Okay, so as you can see, I didn't film myself talking about the milk jug. It gave me a lot of trouble, but basically what you see here is the start of it finally going right. Tune in next week to see what became of the milk jug and all of the houses and homes for fairies and gnomes.
I'll see you next week. Bye!